I'm an apple tree, and it's late in the season. People pick what they want because they want what they want, then they're leaving. I remember to watch for petty thieving. I don't live by tricking, I don't live for winning, just treats. I'm heading into exile, see you in a little while. If I cry, I'll wipe my eyes before my makeup stains my pillow. And if I'm mad, I hold it back so I don't taint my role as hero. Just hide the vulnerability, I swore it wouldn't get to me before it stains. Don't let it stain. Oh, I'm the host, and I'll greet you at the door. Then the party will start and they tell me I'm not Great Gatsby anymore. I remember to watch for senseless dreaming. You're not one in a million, I can see hope killing my peace. I'm heading into exile, see you in a little while. If I cry, I'll wipe my eyes before my makeup stains my pillow. And if I'm mad, I hold it back so I don't taint my role as hero. Just hide the vulnerability, I swore it wouldn't get to me before it stains. Don't let it stain. I need a love to walk me home. Want to be known down to my soul. It's getting too easy to let go, and it's so lonely being a lonely hero. Alone, I'll wipe my face. Don't let it stain.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to TEDxYouth at Manalapan, Lead by Example. My name is Rachel Osias, and I'm the licensee and organizer of this TEDx event. Our mission is to inspire teens to take initiative and create change in their communities. From cooking to personal finance to anti-bullying campaigns, TEDxYouth at Manalapan explores what it truly means to be a youth leader. TEDxYouth at Manalapan is an event dedicated to highlighting successful voices that challenge the status quo. This event will showcase premier teen chef Logan Gula, serial entrepreneur Taylor Price, founder of Zeneration Sofia Del Rosario, podcast host Kushi Bhatt, founder of She the Change Itasha Dante, and anti-bullying activist Jalen Arnold. TEDxYouth at Manalapan is a TEDx event, a program of local self-organized events that bring people together to share a TED-like experience. Today, you are part of a remarkable global phenomenon. Around the world, thousands of people are gathering in meetings to experience the power of ideas.
Welcome to something special. Welcome to TEDx. This TEDx event is part of a global conversation that takes place every day in every corner of the world. In schools, in theaters, in workplaces, even in prisons, people gather to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. More than 3,000 TEDx events are held every year in 170 countries. It's a remarkable thing. TEDx events are self-organized under a license from TED, a non-profit organization devoted to discovering and sharing powerful ideas in the form of TED Talks. It's not TED itself, but your local TEDx team of volunteers that has done all the work to put on today's event, including booking all of the speakers. It's this team's ideas, dedication, and time that have made this possible. We really hope today's program sparks an exciting conversation. This is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you will take out. And now, on with the show.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and be part of this exciting conversation about our shared future. Please share and tag us at TEDxYouth Manalapan on Instagram for a chance to be reposted.
Sofia Del Rosario is a 17-year-old first-generation Filipina living in the New Jersey, New York area. She is the founder and director of Generations, a student-led nonprofit organization that empowers and educates young creatives, activists, and changemakers through literature, education, and political engagement, and artistic pieces. Generations has massed over 97,000 Instagram followers, including notable figures such as AOC, and shared by Viola Davis, Anne Hathaway, and Reese Witherspoon. The organization has expanded its national team to over 100 plus youths and over 36 international branch chapters. Sofia also works at the digital marketing agency JUV Consulting as the insight strategist on their core team and served on the executive board at the Women of Color Conference. Learn Generation Z's unique characteristics, use of activism, and diversity in Sofia Del Rosario's TEDx talk entitled, "Why is there so much buzz around Gen Z?"
Why is there so much buzz around Gen Z? The sudden emergence of the phrase Generation Z in mainstream media, pop culture, everyday conversation topics, or even company marketing strategies is a phenomenon that's almost impossible to ignore. But with the explosion of this generation's visibility and cultural impact, a simple yet promising question arises. Why? Why is everyone talking about us? What attributes do we possess that we've managed to captivate industry leaders and essentially have the entire world wrapped around our funky ring-covered fingers? Every generation demonstrates a set of qualities that make them their own. Take avocado toast and being civic-oriented for millennials, and then self-sufficiency for Gen X. But Generation Z, the kids who have grown up in the age of technology, who've claimed a 15-second video content creating app and created an entire world within it, who've spearheaded viral trends and fell in love with aesthetics, and most of all, have established a wonderful sense of community, are redefining and reimagining what it means to be a teen leader. Global connectivity has never been so easy. I bet your mom told you never to talk to strangers on the internet. But for the generation that never grew up without the internet, refraining from online communication poses to be quite the feat. And in the era of COVID-19, we were unexpectedly thrust into a digital environment, and so in turn, we forged long-lasting connections with teens from all parts of the world with similar interests and personality types. Social media has become a defining part of our generation. It's weaved its way into our teenage development. It's written its way into our coming-of-age stories. We've used platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter to make incredible internet friends, to talk about our day and share theories and quick video snippets, and partake in things like stan culture. The internet has allowed us to educate ourselves on societal issues, learn tips and tricks about life, reflect on our current actions, and be inspired by other Gen Zers from anywhere and everywhere. That kind of widespread, genuine knowledge allows for teens to develop character and leadership in a multitude of ways. Social media and online communities also grant us access to support systems and make it easy for collaborations to blossom into something extraordinary. Information and mind-blowing ideas are transmitted at the speed of light, so one brilliant young mind can reach the next, no matter how many miles sit between them. It's a wonder, really, in and of itself. Our generation also holds a certain duality that, when dutifully explored, is one of the most fascinating concepts imaginable. This duality is one of both individuality and unity. We were told to think outside of the box, and so we stepped outside of it and burned it down, and have been making millions of differently shaped boxes on our own. Meaning, Gen Z not only accepts the things that makes us different, but we embrace it, and we flaunt it. Whether this be through taking uncalculated risks by starting our own businesses at young ages, or openly sharing about the complexities of our mental health, or even creating e-girl or Y2K themed outfits with leg warmers or crisp tops, we refuse to fit in a cookie cutter mold. It can even boil down to posting small yet beautiful moments of our lives on social media, or rather casual Instagram. The priority of that post not being to exude perfection, but to share our personalities and who we really are. Because that's us, raw and real and casual and authentic and to each their own. But we also stand united. A large majority of this generation supports local and global teen organizers and activists, such as students assembling protests in their communities, and we trust in their leadership. There's the act of facilitating meaningful conversation to help each other learn and improve. And of course, we love to hype each other up and support our friends and see them thrive, even if we've never met them in real life. And then again, we've seen an overflowing desire in today's teens to educate themselves on social justice and worldly issues. This, again, may be largely due to the rapid transmission of storytelling, research topics, and comprehensive thoughts shared over social media. Quarantine and online school cleared the path for the inner leaders that had been cultivating within today's youth to finally emerge. And due to this surplus of free time and self-isolation came the rise of youth organizations, nonprofits, entrepreneurial initiatives, and so much more. I'm here speaking as the founder of Generations, a student-led nonprofit media group that serves to empower teen changemakers through articles, projects and events, creative pieces, and storytelling. I started Generations as a small blog to write about my talented friends about over a year ago, and today we've amassed over 109,000 followers, garnered over 6 million impressions, and expanded to over 50 local branches in areas like Indonesia, Peru, my homeland of the Philippines, Dubai, and London. But if I'm being completely honest, I didn't become a leader overnight. The ability to run a global organization didn't suddenly just one day awaken inside me. Once team members started coming in, I was terrified to my core, to say the least. There were a couple slip-ups on my end, and days where I felt completely in the dark, with the doubts on my position as a role model and as a director starting to rise. But with every mistake came another improvement, and it all racked up to the most impactful learning process I had ever encountered. I figured out how to effectively lead a meeting, delegate tasks, how to execute projects, how to develop a content strategy or create a pitch deck, and most of all, I was able to partake in incredible collaborations with my team, in which they absolutely shined as young leaders and worked diligently and passionately to create something truly, truly special. Today, we're seeing a wide range of youth-led initiatives popping up. Between businesses and companies and student-led clubs and grassroots organizings, teens are channeling their inner leaders like never before, breaking ground and shifting the narrative with each passing day. Generation Z has also been hailed as the most racially and ethnically diverse generation to date. We're projected for the majority of our population to be non-white people of color by the year of 2026. And not only is BIPOC representation and fairness encouraged, it's viewed as a mandatory necessity in our eyes, in the workplace, in entertainment, media, school communities, and in every other aspect of our lives. Our cultural heritage is our strength, our core, our roots. We're grounded in our history. For first-generation teens like me, we carry a part of our ancestors and our families who brought us here to give us a better life. Our heroes and changemakers that worked long hours tirelessly in the blistering sun, digging, scraping, chipping away at the ground to pave the way for us to walk on. The path to change wasn't built by Gen Z alone. It's been developed by generations and generations before us. They paved the way, and with each passing group, we dig deeper and we walk farther. Our footsteps today shape imprints in the ground, and in turn we create a smoother, more delicate pathway for future generations to glide aimlessly and freely on. But we're not there yet. But due to those who've worked diligently before us, young people of color have the chance to be more visible and loud and free. And so no, it's not just enough to just push for only Gen Z leaders. We need intergenerational collaboration. We need diverse youth representing us as future role models: Black, Asian, Indigenous, Hispanic, and also trans youth, the LGBTQ plus community, fat people, disabled folks, neurodivergent people, women, teens from all walks of life. Because that amalgamation of diverse experiences is a guarantee for newness and innovation in our future. And so Gen Z is working to put them front and center. And young people, regardless of what generation you're a part of, have always been underestimated, looked down on, belittled simply because youth is seen as a sign of our incompetence. When you are young, they assume you know nothing. And Generation Z is creating so much traction, not only due to our rejection of the status quo, but also for our authenticity, our diversity, sense of community, and our refusal to be talked down to. As our daunting future begins to hurtle towards us at an impossible speed, we shift away from the final stages of adolescence and then prep to enter a new era of our challenging careers. What does the future look like for a generation that's endured a life-changing pandemic and embodies the digital age? However it may unfold, there is one absolute. Our youth is our foundation. Our experiences, our flaws and differences, the knowledge we've retained, and the character that we've held in these years will carry over into our future endeavors. And without a doubt, Generation Z's takeover might have spiraled to fame due to a media frenzy, but dig a little deeper and you'll see the spotlight shines on us for much, much more. Relentlessness, resilience, radiance, a soft spot for our online communities, a penchant to make impactful, meaningful change, an unbreakable bond between ourselves and our cultural roots. And while talk will eventually shift over to future generations, at our core, Gen Z is us. And that's why there's so much buzz around us. Okay.
Logan Guleff was named one of the most influential teens by Time magazine and a James Beard Blended Burger winner. Logan won Season 2 of MasterChef Junior in 2014 and has continued his career as a rising star in the culinary world. He was named Southern Living's Best New Southern Cook and earned a spot on Fortune magazine's 18 Under 18 list. Logan was also the youngest certified judge for the World Championship Barbecue Cookie Contest in Memphis, Tennessee, and the youngest chef to cook at the historic James Beard House in New York City. He has judged the International Chef Olympiad in India and launched his first book, Logan's Chef Notes and Half-Baked Tales, which won Gourmand's Best in World for the first cookbook. In the summer of 2019, Logan was a Take Note winner at the Teen Choice Awards in Los Angeles, California. Join Logan Guleff in forging a successful mindset using the power of cooking in his TEDx talk entitled, Who is Stopping You?
Hi everybody, I'm Logan Guleff, and I'm one of the most successful teen chefs in the world. I've written an award-winning cookbook, I've won MasterChef Junior, and I'm the youngest person to cook in the James Beard House. However, I'm not here to talk to you about food. Do I look like I'm in a kitchen? No. So, I'm going to help you forge your own mindset for success. Now, mindset is more than just a tool. It is a weapon, a sword with which you can cut down any obstacle or adversary. So let us start our journey up the metaphorical mountain to the just as metaphorical Skyforge at the top. Are you a warrior? Do you have what it takes to complete this journey? The path of success is a long, tiresome odyssey wrought with setbacks and disappointments. It will take hard work and determination to climb the mountain. It will also take more than just hard work. You also have to believe in yourself. Believing that you can do it is the first step to achieving it. If you don't believe in your heart of hearts that you'll be successful and achieve your dreams, then you will always fall short. Success will also take something else. Success has a price that is unavoidable. While I don't know how much success will cost for you, I can only tell you that I paid countless hours, ideas, recipes, and painful failures. If you aren't willing to pay the price of success, then you have no business climbing the mountain with me. If you aren't a warrior, then you should just turn back now. We are at the wooded foothills of the mountain. This is where you must find your heart. It is hiding inside of a massive pine tree, and you must carve it out with these two tools. What drives you to be successful, and why do you want success? I'm driven for success because I want to be great at everything I do. And I want success because it's the proof of greatness. Now, you can have the fiercest drive in the world, but that won't make you successful, because your fire will extinguish quickly and you won't be able to forge a sword. So you must collect twigs and branches. You must collect supporters. Supporters are often the difference maker between success and failure. Every achievement I have has been built on a foundation of supporters. I wouldn't be who I am without every single person who believed in my dreams. Now, a fire also needs a starter. This is where you have to take that chip on your shoulder, it's a Dorito by the way, and use it to ignite the fire. Doritos are highly flammable, so try that at home. Now, some people might have said, you won't make it, you won't be successful. And if they haven't, and you're still at the very beginning of your journey, then I'll say it for them. You won't be successful. Wow. See how that feels? Do you feel that bubbling anger deep inside you? I want you to find that feeling. I want you to really grab it, really find it. And I want you to take that, and I want you to set fire to everything stopping you from reaching your potential. Because, I want you to prove me wrong. You can thank me later for giving you that little Dorito on your shoulder. Now, a fire is nothing without the metal to smith with. So now it is time to mine the metal from within. These 3 questions should bring out your metal. How tough are you? When do you quit? And how resilient are you? Now, if you're weak, then you'll give up early. If you quit early, then your sword will be improperly forged and it will snap. If you aren't resilient, then you'll give up at the first taste of defeat and your blade will snap like a twig. But you might just surprise yourself with how strong you really are. There have been days when I've wanted to quit, times when challenges have seemed insurmountable, times when things have been rigged against me, times when, I didn't believe. But that doesn't mean I gave up or accepted defeat. I never said I can't, and neither should you. Now, we have climbed to the top of the mountain. We are at the Sky Forge, and it's time to forge your sword. So, what kind of sword do you want to wield? What is your philosophy for success? I'll tell you mine. My philosophy is very simple. Strive for greatness. Very simple. I don't want people to say when they're tasting my food, oh, this tastes good. No. I want them to say, this is the best pork belly I've ever had. And that's my mindset. But you have to forge your own. And don't be afraid to call yourself successful, even if you don't have the trappings of success, even if you don't have, if you aren't famous, if you don't make money doing something. Because I consider myself a very successful photographer, even though I don't sell my shots, I don't display my shots, it's only I see them. And only I see my definition of success. And that's the most important thing with your mindset for success, is it only has to work with your definition of success. Now, a sword is only as good as its wielder. This is where you have to take your sword and you have to practice with it. You have to use it. This is when you need to practice and hone in your style. If you want to be great at, fashion, art, music, photography, cooking, science, sports, if you want to be great at any of that, you need to develop a certain style. Every great, whatever you want to be, had a specific style. You also have to sharpen your sword with experiences. Contrary to popular opinion, MasterChef wasn't my first cooking competition. I already placed in 3 contests before I went on the show. Once you accumulate experiences, then your style will evolve and your skills will sharpen. Now, every warrior needs to learn respect and discipline, and you are no exception. Your mindset is an extension of yourself. It is a part of you. If you disrespect it, it will cut you. If you don't maintain it, it will rust. Your sword will always be a part of you. It will never separate from your grip. So you must get used to carrying it. Success is heavy, from the fear of having peaked to having a reputation to live up to. The more you have, the heavier it gets, and the stronger you must become. You also have to learn discipline and controlling your blade. Sometimes you need to sheathe your sword around those who you don't want to get caught by jealousy. Your sheath can also protect your sword and your success from those who would steal it or tarnish it. And sometimes you should just hide your sword from people who, you just can't trust around it. Those are some difficult lessons that I've learned that have taken a lot, and they're difficult. So I want to save you that pain. Now, it's finally time to cut down your adversary. And this is the most difficult part of being successful, and is the end of our journey together. Now, you have to take your sword. You have to feel it. You have to feel that hard work. You have to feel that polished shine with sharp edge. And most importantly, you have to feel how cold it is. You have to feel the cold ruthlessness ingrained in your blade. Now, what do I mean? Now, I might feel bad that I'm better at cooking pasta than the rest of my family, but that's something that I feel. My mindset doesn't feel that. My steel doesn't feel remorse. And sure, I do, but that's for me to bear, not for the blade. Now, it's not just the pain, but also the pride. Beating other people can feel extremely good, and I'm very, very proud of my achievements. The sword doesn't own that success. I do. Now, you might think that other people are your greatest adversary, but they aren't. Your greatest adversary is always going to be yourself. That's because you are the one who will determine how successful you will be. You are the monster that lurks in the closet. That's because you are the only one you can blame when things go wrong. You will forge your own success. Thank you for the time, and thank you to the Ornamental Metal Museum here in Memphis for hosting me in this amazing space.
Taylor Price is a serial entrepreneur who has a passion for educating Gen Z on personal finance. While in college, she quickly realized she knew almost nothing about her own personal finances and embarked on a journey of educating herself on this subject that's not taught in school. In 2019, she started sharing what she learned on TikTok and began helping people take control of their finances. Taylor has shared her story on major publications such as Good Morning America, Yahoo Finance, Wall Street Journal, Business Insider, and more. She is now the proud founder and CEO of TAP and has her own online community to over 3 million people. Her main priority lies in continuing to grow a strong community full of motivated individuals. Learn how to plant and nurture your very own money tree with this inspiring work of relatable experiences entitled Grow Your Own Money Tree with Me.
Growing up, I was always told, Taylor, money doesn't grow on trees. And you guys may be thinking it too. Of course, money doesn't grow on trees when only 6 out of 50 states in the United States requires a personal finance course for testing. How are we supposed to learn to water, to plant, and grow our trees if our education systems don't even require it? Growing up, you and I both have lived through 2 pandemics. Most of you guys only think of COVID-19, but there's another silent pandemic that we've been living through for over a century that you may yourself have experienced the symptoms without even knowing it. It's called the financial literacy gap. My friends, my family, and the people around the world are stressed, depressed, and in debt because of the lack of knowledge there is in growing your money trees. How do we put an end to this silent pandemic and create a forest of money trees bigger than the Amazon rainforest? Growing up, talking about money, religion, and politics at the dinner table was a no-no. So of course, if we can't ask questions about important topics like what is credit, what is debt, and what does financial freedom even mean, How are we ever supposed to believe in this concept that money trees exist? Well, today I'm here to challenge you to grow your money tree. Start with the seed of budgeting, the foundation of your money tree. This seed is made up of your needs, wants, savings, and investments. Your seed is your superpower. If you master it, your money tree will grow effortlessly. Plant your roots into nourished soil and savings accounts. These create strong roots for your money tree to survive in any storms, like losing your job, getting into a car or medical accident, or helping out another wilting money tree. Nourish your sapling by always recalling your seed of budgeting. Over time, your primary source of income grows stronger and develops the trunk of your money tree. The more secure income streams you have, the wider your money tree becomes, bringing you more stability, financial stability within your life. Your income streams eventually branch off to weak limbs of your tree that are not guaranteed sources of income. A branch could be turning your side hustle into a profitable business, investing in the stock or crypto market, or even investing into a potential cash cow. Look closely at these branches. What could be a disaster could also be your most profitable income source to date. Harbor these income streams and turn them into money leaves. When you spend money, your leaves fall off. When you save money, your leaves begin to grow. The more you spend, the less value your money tree provides. The more you save and invest, the greater value your money tree provides. This is actually what's known as your net worth. So, do you believe in money trees? If you said yes, welcome to the money tree movement. It's you, it's me, and it's a whole forest or whole world of money trees. Our mission is to provide a trusted source of information, products, and services for this next generation to live their best lives. By growing your money tree, you're essentially being able to live financially free. What does this actually mean? Today, I'm here to challenge you to ask yourself, what does financial freedom mean to you? I went on Twitter, I asked my following, what does financial freedom mean? And here are some following answers. Kelsey said, it's when your money works harder for you than you work for your money. Russell said, it's when my income and my wealth are not directly related to my time. April Lynn said, to be financially free means simply supporting the lifestyle I want. Taylor, what does financial freedom mean to you? To me, financial freedom is the antidote to living a more peaceful life. It's the antidote to 72% of Americans surveyed by the American Psychological Association feeling stressed about money. It's the antidote to sleepless nights, weight changes, depression, anxiety, relationship difficulties, social withdrawal, physical ailments, and unhealthy coping mechanisms, all related to financial stress. But how is financial freedom within one's reach when most of us are trapped in a downward spiral of increasing money problems and declining mental health? Or maybe some of us just lack the energy to tackle a surmounting pile of bills. Or maybe even more of us lose income by taking time off of work due to anxiety and depression. All right, so here's how we tackle this. Step 0, agree to believe in the money tree. The hardest part in this entire journey is going from 0 to 1. Without a money tree mindset, the possibility of achieving financial freedom is very slight. Next, step 1, begin talking to someone. Adding the famous quote, "We are all in this together," has never been more applicable. By discussing your finances with somebody you trust, you are able to get answers and grow your money tree to new heights. Next, step 2, make a plan and take action. Benjamin Franklin once said, "A failure to plan is a plan for failure." It's no wonder why Benjamin Franklin appears on the $100 bill. You need to make a plan and take action in order to see those hundreds. Step 3, just grow and develop. To be classified as a living organism, you must grow and develop. If you aren't growing and developing, are you really living? We've lived through COVID-19, and we can live through this financial literacy pandemic too. If there's one thing that you learn from this today, it's to challenge the status quo. Thank you.
Jalen Arnold, the inspiration of the nonprofit Jalen's Challenge Foundation Incorporated, has shared his leadership for over 12 years in classrooms and businesses all over the world. At the age of 8, after being bullied for having Tourette syndrome and autism, Jalen created a plan to educate individuals about the prevalence of kindness and respect. To date, he has helped to halt 67 suicides and spoken to more than 280,000 students in face-to-face anti-bullying assemblies. Jalen is the only American to receive the Princess Diana Legacy Award, has worked with several high-profile celebrities, and has his own Nickelodeon show entitled The Halo Effect. He has been featured on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, People magazine, Dr. Sanjay Gupta's Human Factor, and a Discovery Health documentary on his life entitled Tourette's Uncovered. Jalen has been given many awards, including the American Spirit Award, NHL Community Hero Award, TLC's Give a Little Award, and the World of Children Award. Join Jalen Arnold in discussing how to combat bullying with respect and kindness in his TEDx speech entitled Bullying No Way.
Hello everyone, my name is Jalen Arnold and I'm here speaking today on behalf of Jalen's Challenge Foundation, which is a non-profit anti-bullying organization that I created when I was 9 years old because I had understood what it was like to be bullied and harassed in school, all because of a disorder that I could not control. I was born with Tourette syndrome, which is a neurological disability that I was born with, and ever since I was 2 years old, I've twitched, I've made sounds, tics as I call it, and they're completely 100% involuntary. In elementary school, the other kids did not really realize why I was doing the things I was doing, and they didn't understand that I could not control it. I was being harassed for the sounds that I would make, the twitches I would do, my eyes that would roll and would disrupt the class, and I never understood what was so funny because I could not control it. But unfortunately, being at the young age that I was, not all students understand neurological disabilities and involuntary twitching like mine. The bullying that I received in school became so severe that my Tourette's just evolved into a greater scale of what they were, and I was eventually placed on hospital homebound. I had to go home and I couldn't go to school for months because I could not function like a regular student. I could not read, write, or speak fluent enough to get through the day as a student. I would either snap my pencils, I would lose my place reading my book because of my eyes twitching, or I could not even have a one-to-one conversation because my neck would jerk and I would start squealing and making these involuntary sounds. I created Jalen's Challenge Foundation because I understood what it felt like to be silenced by bullying and to feel so scared to speak up for yourself. There are too many kids out there today that feel like they don't have a voice that I want to speak up for. Because as someone who suffered in silence, I realized that it only gets worse if you do that. There are really scary statistics out there for our students today in America alone. 18 million students this year alone will be bullied and harassed. That is 1 out of every 4 kids in the classroom. 3 million students are absent each month and fake being sick just so that they don't have to face their bullies in school. 282,000 middle schoolers alone will be physically assaulted in the classroom. That is 9,400 students each day. 43% of the students in America's public school system are too scared to go to the bathroom because they fear what will happen to them in there due to their bullies. That just breaks my heart that these students are scared of an environment that they should be able to learn and thrive in. It's gone from a place of learning to a place of harassment, and kids are missing out on their education each day, all because of this evil phenomenon that has gone on for generations in our world. There is more youth violence that occurs on school campuses as opposed to on their way to or from school or on the bus. These days, bullying doesn't just end at physical school. It progresses and becomes even worse at home, behind our own walls. Especially in our day and age of technology and social media, cyberbullying has become so much more intense than it ever has before. With our pandemic and everyone having to stay inside, the social media has been the only source of entertainment for teenagers these days, but that has opened up their personal spaces to all kinds of harassment and negativity. Sadly, there is a terrifyingly high amount of students that have fallen victim to bullycide, which is the act of committing suicide due to being bullied. Suicide continues to be the leading cause of death for students 16 and under, and 80% of those cases are due to bullying. There are so many signs to look for if you feel like your peers or your students or your loved ones have fallen victim to bullying. Eating habits change, grades change, interests change. All kinds of behavioral differences are what we can look for throughout our day-to-day life if you feel like something is going on. Please, please, please do not ever be a bystander. I know that statement is what we hear often, is that bystanding is being just as bad as the bully. But I feel like something that our students don't understand these days is that statement is 100% true. There is nothing worse that we can do besides just sitting on the sidelines and watching it all happen without trying to take action. Thankfully, there is a lot that we can do after spotting a case of bullying. The biggest is speaking up. If you are being bullied or you know someone that is being harassed in school, please do not hesitate to tell a parent, a teacher, a friend, a principal, a school resource officer. There are so many different outlets that you can go to, but we on the receiving end have to be just as open to hearing these students out. Too many times, students like myself have felt too ashamed to go to an adult and speak up about their experience. Unfortunately, it is really difficult for students to speak up about their experiences being bullied. So please always have an open ear. A majority of the time, children will not go straight to their parents when they're dealing with bullying. They either feel like the adults will not hear them out or they're too ashamed. Another method of preventing or ending bullying is that realizing there are power in numbers. Bullies always target prey that they feel like are a weaker subject. But if we stick around in numbers and are there for our friends and move in groups of 3, 4, 5 kids, the chances of harassment go down by so much. Something I believe is really important to ending bullying for a student is for adults knowing the chain of command and how to approach it within the school system. If you feel like a teacher is not listening, move on up to the counselor. If the counselor is not, the administration. If not the administration, the principal, school resource officer, etc., etc. To current day, Jalen's Challenge Foundation has had an 85% success rate in ending bullying after presenting our program to schools. So far, we've been able to reach 280,000 students in face-to-face assemblies. Life is so precious. I personally believe that everyone is individually and wonderfully made, and that we can achieve anything we want to. There are so many kids out there that need to hear the message of kindness and banding together to banish bullying for all, which is my foundation's mission statement. If we can get kids to believe that we can end this together, then we can just spread love throughout our world and banish the negativity that we see each and every day. All kids need is someone to stand up for them, to be the voice when they feel like they don't have one. If we continue to let bullying run our world, we may unfortunately lose so many precious souls that could be doctors, scientists, world changers, philanthropists, philosophers. We may never know. That's why we have to do the best we can to protect our youth. We are on this earth for such a short time. The best thing that we can do is try to treat each other with love and positivity and support. Thank you for listening to my presentation today. Please let your friends and your students know that you love them, you care about them, and you are here to protect them. If everybody knows that we can stand together and end this darkness in the world, we will all reach our maximum potential. I believe in it, and you all have to too. Thank you.
Kushi Bhatt, 14, is a force to be reckoned with. Being a freshman in high school, Kushi has made it her mission to use her voice to speak for her peers. By holding national positions in clubs such as FBLA, DECA, and NTHS, while also staying humble and true to her roots, Kushi has been a driving force in her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. Kushi has also started her own podcast, Desi Damsels, and has been recognized by NBC and stars such as Mindy Kaling. Desi Damsels has gained traction with thousands of viewers in 40-plus countries globally. Apart from these accolades, Kushi uses the power of the pen to write articles for mass media, being published over 20 times globally. The call for leadership is always ringing, but what does it mean to take it? Join Kushi Bhatt in exploring the true meaning of self-discovery, active leadership, uncovering passions, and writing your own story in her TEDx talk entitled A Power from Within.
Defines a leader? Now, there are definitely no wrong answers to this question. You could say it's the values they uphold or the people they serve, but I say it's their story. Like every good superhero movie, there's always a vivid backstory or prequel to follow. It introduces the quintessential qualities that make or break you. The way you navigate new endeavors and use your unique experiences and skills to create change. Mahatma Gandhi, Elon Musk, Winston Churchill, and countless of others have tales about their accomplishments and how they faced adversity. But what did it take for them to get there? What was the treacherous process it took for all of these amazing leaders to define success? For me, it started with a far-out vision and a passion that never dulled. The first step in this journey to unearth your power starts with discovery, setting out a layout with what you already have. You may be thinking, I know who I am by now. If so, let me ask you this. Are you who you want to be yet? The start of self-improvement begins and ends in getting to know yourself. For me, some qualities that define me are being a person of color and being a first-generation immigrant. My identity has continued to change, and throughout my life, I learned to speak English, make friends, and even tried eating a sloppy Joe once. As you can see, finding your values and understanding what you stand for is a major part in learning how to lead. Next, we transitioned into something many people don't enjoy. Change, turning the next page. Whether it's changing your mindset or molding yourself to be more practical and fervent, it is essential to be open to anything when you lead. The greatest of leaders understand the people they serve and incorporate their constituents' ideas into everything they do. You know the saying, art is never finished, only abandoned? This goes the same to say for continuous leadership and development. As we change our perceptions and style of leadership, we alter as well. We pick up critical thinking skills from everyone we meet, and you get the opportunity to become a mosaic and encompass small things that make you an even stronger leader. It's pretty cool. Now, you have revealed all of the elements that compose you, and you've understood the adjustments and technique in leadership. But how will you maintain them? The hardest part in leading is upholding these ideals and sticking by your story, even when people doubt you. I have most definitely succumbed to this. In middle school, I lost my direction and my passion. I forgot my story and tried to create fake perceptions of myself to please people and lost belief in my dreams. I drifted away from many friends and fell into a deep hole, wondering, where did that Kushi go who taught to uplift and empower? In quarantine last year, I made a very profound observation as I took the time at home to work on myself. Your biggest enemy is you, self-doubt and hesitation. Let that sink in. You decide how the world will choose to remember you, and time is everything we have and don't. Making the most of your time by serving others and truly living to your potential is something we are not taught in school. Rather, it's an ability we must learn. With the time I have, I've chosen to challenge myself to spread knowledge, activism, and help my peers ignite the torch of passion for themselves and their loved ones. Through having my podcast streaming in over 80 countries worldwide, aimed toward culture and destigmatizing common issues, and writing articles for high-profile news agencies about current affairs, I have found something I love. I've found my power, and you can too. I believe that by confronting our own biases and personal experiences, along with understanding these key steps that I mentioned in this speech, we can become better leaders and derive the best of ourselves and come together to make this whole life thing more meaningful. So I leave you all listening here with a challenge to take the first step. Find what you love, stick with it, pick up the pen, and write your own story. Thank you.
Itasha Dante, 16, is an advocate, entrepreneur, and changemaker who is actively working towards bridging the gender gap in male-dominated fields and amplifying the voices of Gen Z female leaders. Through her podcast, She the Change, Itasha discusses today's most pressing issues while highlighting leaders, like herself, who are a part of marginalized communities while paving the way for change. With a reach to 50-plus countries and thousands of listeners, Itasha has been able to inspire young women around the world to start their own initiatives and take action against injustice. Her efforts have been recognized amongst several publications, most notably Forbes. Outside of She the Change, Itasha is passionate about leveraging AI to solve real-world problems. Join Itasha Dante in discussing Gen Z's voice and power in her TEDx talk entitled Generation Z, Defeating the Undefeatable.
While I sit in my morning biology class, learning about DNA replication, the headlines pop up. 6 years left to save the planet from the irreversible effects of the climate crisis. Period poverty has surged across the nation in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, and women are 33% more likely to be talked over and unheard. While it seems like these issues are certainly portrayed in the media as undefeatable forces, as if the only way in which one can truly make a difference is by stopping the issue in its entirety. It's Generation Z who are looking at these problems from a different perspective, actively solving these global issues head on, defeating the undefeatable. Generation Z is the cohort born between 1995 and 2010. They've been heavily influenced by major events, cultural norms, and social norms, but unlike any other generation, Generation Z has grown up in a world of technological advances and innovations. My generation has never known a non-digital world. You see, we grew up with a phone in our hand and a digital camera in our face. And if I'm being quite honest, I likely learned how to type before I learned how to talk. With accessibility to an infinite amount of knowledge on a search engine and contact with millions of people through social media, the question comes down to, how can social media be used to mediate change on a global scale? We are a generation that no longer needs expensive resources to make a difference. We simply need our voice. A voice that can be amplified across the globe to millions of people at the click of a button. We now all have a platform to break through that echo chamber, bring attention to stigmatized topics, hear various points of view, and ultimately come together to make a difference. Through social media, people are more aware than ever. World issues meet everyone's social media feeds within seconds, and with likes, shares, and retweets, that information is known to millions of people worldwide. While one post may not single-handedly make a difference, it's the collective front of all those who learn about the issue at hand and work towards solving that problem that makes the difference. That power of finding community and reaching millions of people has already launched social movements, mobilizing our generation by inciting passion to create change. That power of finding community and reaching millions of people within seconds has already launched social movements, mobilizing our generation by inciting passion to change the status quo for the better. With accessibility to technology comes awareness, and with awareness comes action. And this action is a ripple effect. When one person speaks up, those around them learn about the issue and spread that message, increasing that awareness. The ripple effect continues as each new person is aware and now has the ability to take actionable steps to mitigate the problem. Whether that's rallying through protest, contacting policymakers to enact legislation that will solve the root cause of the problem, or even by simply resharing the social media post. Instead of technology defining us, we are the first to redefine technology and utilize its power to create positive change. With more than half of internet and social media users under the age of 24, Generation Z has been at the forefront of initiating this change. The movement to combat the global climate crisis and slow global warming, the push for the removal of taxes when taking a stand against period poverty, and fundraising movements are just a few of the many social justice campaigns that started and grew through social media. From that growth, change was enacted. In 2018, after learning about the adverse effects of global warming, Greta Thunberg was able to utilize social media to reach tens of millions of people globally, to bring awareness to global warming, but also address policymakers to enact change to protect our planet. Back in 2010, after a devastating earthquake hit Haiti, the Red Cross organization was able to raise $500 million with the help of social media, with over 2 million tweets spreading awareness about the earthquake and fundraising for support. On a similar journey, 8 years ago, I visited New York City for the first time. From my view, I remember looking up at the buildings and wondering whether or not the people on the highest floor could see the clouds directly outside of their window. I recognized the duality of New York. As I had crossed 38th Street at the intersection, I noticed people laying on the ground, holding up a cardboard sign. "Please help" was labeled in thick lettering. I stared at the man as I stood with my family on the sidewalk, waiting for the pedestrian light to give us the signal to continue walking. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that just blocks from this street, where a poor homeless man stayed, was Wall Street, where some of the wealthiest people in the world were. People sat unknowing of when their next meal would be, and they sat on the cold streets of New York alone, hoping that someone could help them. I went home that day feeling helpless. I gave the remaining change I had to that man, but it didn't feel like enough. From that point on, I refused to sit idly by as people undeserving of these harsh circumstances suffer day to day without the resources needed to survive. But at 8 years old, I questioned what I could do to make a difference. I didn't have any existing fundraising experience or existing funds to start a campaign. All I knew was how to do and fold origami. Using the art of origami, I was able to fold intricate origami pieces, sell them, and donate all the proceeds to those who needed basic necessities. Art was my form of expression, and folding each origami piece was my token of appreciation to anyone who bought one, to show them that their money was going to be used for a great cause. Through social media, I was able to spread the word about my cause and my mission, and it resonated. Social media posts began to gain traction, and people began to grow more aware of the poverty issues that were prevalent in not just the United States, but globally. I didn't realize it at the time, but I had found my voice that day in New York. A newfound passion to give back even when it seemed like all the odds weren't in my favor. I'd found my voice, but it was social media that was able to build my confidence and prove to myself that I wasn't just an 8-year-old kid. My voice mattered, and it has the power to create substantial positive change. As I grew up, I came to understand the power of one's voice. I was lucky enough to find my confidence early on, but the odds for many people who look like me, who are women, and especially women of color, are discouraged to speak up. I made it my mission to amplify the voices of the leaders around me who are part of those marginalized groups, who are advocating and initiating change on a global scale. In a world that suppresses the voices of so many women, it's so important that we change that narrative. And it was so important that I use the voice that I have to speak up for those who can't. Although we're making progress, the gender gap in leadership roles and the discouragement to speak up that women face is far too large to be ignored. I created She the Change, a podcast dedicated to highlighting those female leaders who are part of marginalized communities, to support their voices and encourage podcast listeners to start their own initiatives and take actions against injustice as well. People have the means to use their platform and technology to share their story, but we live in a system where the voices of women and underrepresented groups aren't kept in mind, which is why it's so important that we need to change that reality and start those conversations now. Empower the people around you. Utilize the platform you have to initiate that change and inspire yourself to kickstart your confidence. Those headlines I had read earlier, they've changed. 18-year-old Greta Thunberg speaks to lawmakers to implement policy to combat climate change. 23-year-old Nadia Okamoto tackles period poverty and addresses over 1.5 million periods. And 16-year-old Itasha Danthi works towards changing prevailing power structures of marginalized groups. Generation Z is defeating the undefeatable, one rally at a time, one post at a time, one voice at a time. And you have that power too.
Before we conclude, I would like to thank you all so much for tuning into TEDxYouth at Manalapan. Without all of you, this event would have never occurred. We hope you all enjoyed taking the time to listen to this global conversation and hope this inspires you to take initiative in your communities. Please fill out our form in the description below to let us know your feedback on TEDxYouth at Manalapan. For all future events, make sure to follow our Instagram, TEDxYouth Manalapan, for updates. Thank you, and we hope to see you all very soon.